Hello, everybody. Welcome to Find Your Lady Tribe.
You know, I think we all really want to make a difference in this world. I think we're all compelled in a way to leave it just a little better than we found it. Don't you think?
Yeah, I sure hope so.
We don't always know the way, but we're going to talk about that today, so stay tuned.
Awesome.
Welcome to Find Your Lady Tribe. I am your host, Brenda Ridgely, author, speaker, and midlife women's coach. This season is dedicated to your midlife mindset, so be sure to subscribe now to be notified of a new episode each week. I am honored to be joined this season by co-host Tresson Bryant of Love and Life Coaching. She is a mindset, trauma, and relationship expert. Join our inner circle to be the first to know about retreats, workshops, events, and receive tribe-building tips. Go to tinyurl.com/Find Your Lady Tribe to join. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back.
Hello.
All right, so I want to start with the word legacy.
Oh, nice.
I had an interesting conversation with one of my clients this past week, and it really was an aha moment for me. And it made me realize that a lot of people have different idea of what that means. I think when I think of it, I think, I'd like to leave a legacy, right? If I were to say, would you like to leave a legacy?
Oh, absolutely. It's on my dream board already.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And I was working with a client and I asked her that question, what's the legacy that you'd like to leave? And she kind of hum-hawed around a little bit and she said, gosh, I always just thought legacies were for people who were rich and famous.
Well, I could see why maybe somebody might say that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what your idea of legacy is.
Yeah. And I mean, it just was kind of like, oh, wow, that's an incredible thought that, that we wouldn't have that for ourselves if we didn't have fame and fortune of sorts. But it's really, I believe it's absolutely the opposite. I believe that we truly each have our own gifts and things that we were brought here for on this earth as human beings that are unique to us and that only we can share as a legacy.
Absolutely, I'd agree.
So I looked up the word legacy.
I love it.
And part of the definition is to will something. And the rest of that little definition said was something about leaving money, an inheritance of sorts, or leaving something behind. But really, if you think of where the founding part of that word is, will, what is it?
Well, it could mean your will.
Your will.
Right.
What you will.
What your like an intention, like your
yes.
The will that you have, the desire that you have is how I would take that.
Right. So that definition in and of itself led me to believe why I understand why some people think it's about leaving a will.
Oh yeah.
Where where the meaning behind the will is our will, leaving our will of what we have to give behind and what we can make of it.
I love that.
Right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So I think it's our responsibility and our really to feel whole in this world is to figure out what that is.
Sure.
What it is that we have that nobody else has, and what are we inspired to do to leave the world in a better place? And in kind of doing some research, I found a few stories. I mean, there are many stories out there of women doing incredible things, normal women in the world doing some incredible things. And I wanted to share just a few of those stories. Would you help me do that?
Yeah, I would love to,
Okay,
Brenda.
well, the first one I wanted to share is I want to introduce Nemante Nemquimo, and I'm probably totally butchering that name, but her blood says she has warrior blood, but her battleground is the courtroom, and she fights with facts.
Wow.
She's an activist leader for the Warnobi people living in Ecuador's Amazon rainforest. Her most famous lawsuit might be the one filed against her own government back in 2019. The Warnobi people successfully stopped oil drilling in the Ecuadorian forest, protecting 500,000 acres of the Amazon from exploitation, safeguarding lives and the livelihoods, and establishing a legal precedent for regional indigenous rights.
Wow.
So she says, I grew up surrounded by the songs of the wise women of my community who said, the green forest that we see today is here because our ancestors protected it.
Mm.
She's obviously just carrying on that legacy.
Right.
In 2020, she was named one of Time magazine's most influential people in the world.
Wow. That's great. It just started with her idea, what she wanted to do. She went for it.
Something that got under her saddle, a burr under her saddle that just says, this isn't right.
Yep.
I've got to do something about it.
And I think something huge about that just comes to mind, Brendan, and I'll share this story in just a second, is that she made a decision that she actually could be someone who could make a change.
Right.
She believed in herself enough to take just one first step. Who knows what her first step was to do all of those things.
Right. And maybe she didn't even realize it. She just was angry.
Yeah, well, that's true. And you know what? How cool is that? Because, anger is such a wonderful motivator sometimes, but you're right. Yeah. And literally it just takes one step and she went in a direction. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share a story about Fatima El-Zelza. Lives in Kuwait, one of the richest countries in the world. She explains the country has yet to embrace sustainable waste management. Kuwait generates 1.5 kilograms of trash per person per day, twice the global average.
Wow.
90% of it ends up in landfills. That's a lot. That prompted her to found EcoStar. It's a nonprofit group that recycles trash from homes, restaurants, and schools across Kuwait. She confronted the stigma surrounding waste collection, so she had to change some minds, right? Because there might not have been people thinking the way she was.
Yep.
Frequently dismissed on the basis of her age and gender. She had the stigma surrounding her age and gender.
Yeah, who do you think you are?
Right, and also had to change the minds of the collection itself, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, who do you think you are to run around and do this? So she led by her own example, using her money to fund EcoStar and taking her message to Instagram, which is awesome, where she built a following of more than 20,000 people.
Power of the people!
I know, it's so cool. Just on Instagram, it's so fun. But people found her. And since its launch in 2019, the company's recycled over 3.5 tons of plastic, 10 tons of paper, and 120 tons of metal. She says that we can all take action and inspire others to take action on a bigger scale.
Can't we, though?
Yes. If we choose to.
If we choose to.
We can.
And it is just a decision. And I don't think it has to be this, grandiose plan either. You just kind of like start taking steps in the direction.
Yeah, you got to start. You just start somewhere, like with anything.
Right. And that's what she did. Fantastic.
I love it. Awesome.
So let me introduce to you Nzambi Mati. She was unsettled by the ambiguity of plastic bags on the streets of Nairobi, Kenya. Mm. So plastic is a material that is pretty misused and misunderstood. It's really hard to get rid of plastic, right?
Yes.
And we have been such abusers of it, right?
Yep.
Over the past decades.
Yep.
The potential for this is enormous, but its afterlife can be disastrous.
Yes.
I mean, we know about some of the stories about that. But Mati is the founder of Genje Makers, a company that uses discarded plastics to produce paving blocks.
Nice.
She developed a machine that compresses a mixture of plastic and sand into sturdy bricks that are both lighter and more durable than cement.
Wow.
Used to build walkways, her business now produces 1,500 pavers per day, while reducing the amount of plastic waste on the streets and in landfills.
It's so awesome. She made her own machine.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like,
I mean, what?
Yeah. Who are you? Where did you come from?
Yeah, you get bugged about something and you figure out a way.
Yes.
You find the people that know how to do it, if you don't know how to do it.
Exactly.
But you can be the driving force in something you have no idea how to do.
Exactly. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
And look at the massive amounts of change just these few women. Okay, I'll share this story. So lastly, we want to introduce Neria. I hope I'm saying her name right. Neria Alicia Garcia. Neria runs 480 kilometers over the course of 2 weeks every year.
Wow.
A graduate in environmental studies and an ex-Ghana human rights advocate, she's an organizer of Run for Salmon, a trek that follows the journey of salmon from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta to the McCloud River. Chinook salmon has been in decline for the past 150 years, and some consider the fish canaries in the coal mine of climate change. So what they used to put, a canary in to let people know whether or not the oxygen was running out, right?
Right.
And if the canary passed away, so when our fish are,
if they're passing away, that's the first level of trouble in our rivers and our
rivers
system.
are being polluted and they're not healthy. So affectionately referred to as the indigenous woman or indigenous Ironman, Run for Salmon participants walk, run, cycle, paddle, or ride on horseback. Ooh, I'd like to ride on horseback.
Oh, I know you would.
Raising awareness of the diminishing Chinook salmon and calling for the protection of all wildlife. While the distance may seem daunting for Garcia, the greater challenge is seeing the government carrying on business as usual and acting like the world is not burning and the rivers are not drying up. So that's great. She just gets in there and goes and runs. And
sometimes it's just raising awareness.
Well,
right?
Look at this, Brenda. Here we are sitting here together today, and you've just given me these stories. Where did you find them?
Well, the all-powerful Google.
Right.
Right. Well, you
but
can
she
find
started
anything out there.
somewhere.
Yeah, finding something somewhere.
And here we are sitting in Colorado.
Yeah, appreciating
She's
her.
Off in California somewhere doing something. I had never heard of her till you brought this up, and here we are.
Yep, it's exciting. And now all of you know.
Yes. We can celebrate these women.
So these are fantastic stories that made the news and made Google or whatever. But changing the world does not have to be a huge thing, and it doesn't have to make the news.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes we just overwhelm ourselves with thinking that we can't even begin because it's going to be too big of a project. Or
all we really need are little things.
Oh, yeah.
Little things, small changes, small action, attention given to something on a continuous and regular basis can change the course of our lives and the world.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So really the first thing that you can do to make a big change in the world is to make a change
in yourself.
Continue to develop and grow yourself. And I think that we as midlife women kind of maybe some of us are in a floundering moment of kind of what we really believe in, what we really want to do, what are we passionate about. We have been giving and giving and giving and kind of maybe spent. We're a little spent in some ways, and we need to first take on the task of reinvesting in ourselves and building ourselves back up again so that we have this powerful platform. I mean, a place where we are solid and secure and get that spark of inspiration.
Yeah, Brenda, I love that you bring that up. It's such a wonderful place to start, and it gives a breath for somebody to just go, wow, I'm so overwhelmed right now with everything that I have going on, or maybe all the things that I don't have going on, and I'm lost. And you're giving the space to just start considering, what would it be like if you are facing a lot of overwhelm, or if you're facing major challenges at this time in your midlife, it's just a new place to start thinking about, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We want to encourage women to step into their divine feminine spirit, step into opportunities where you have influence and can help make decisions and help make things happen. But first, you have to get to that place yourself.
Right.
And only you know what that looks like for you. But it probably is going to be a series of self-love, self-care, and just kind of starting to dig into why you do the things that you do and what it is that lights you up.
I was going to ask you about that. So, you teach, a lot about the why, why we do things. And I think that's kind of the fun part of what we're talking about. How would someone tap into their why, Brenda, when they're trying to choose what to pick to
Mm-hmm.
change the world about?
Mm-hmm.
Like where could they start
Right.
to get maybe excited about something, or with so many things to choose from, especially, you
Right.
know?
Well, so your why is kind of the reason you get out of bed in the morning, right? The reason, your motivation behind everything that you do, what inspires you into action, if not stimulated, will make you not want to get out of bed in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can just start asking yourself a series of questions. Just start out with, what is my why? And write. I find that a lot of women in particular start writing about their kids or their why.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Their husband or their family's their
Yeah.
why. It's all external.
Yeah.
It's not, and you know what? Of course, we do.
It's
my
natural.
kids are my why too.
Yeah,
All right,
it's natural,
That's definitely
I
a
think.
part of who I am. But we need to be able to answer the question, "Who are you?" without talking about our roles, and that is really hard.
Right, and
I am
sometimes our identity,
a
right?
woman.
Yeah,
I am a wife. I am a mother.
Yes.
Well, those are all just roles. What do you love? So after you've answered your question, what is my why? You kind of do this repetitive questioning technique that really gets down to the nuts and bolts of your answer. And you just ask yourself, why do you say that? And you start journaling the answer to that. And you start thinking, okay, wow, that's weird. I just answered it. And now, but you clarify why this is your why. And once you've spent about 5 minutes or so, sometimes it can be 15 or 20 minutes on each of these questions,
Right.
You ask yourself again, why?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to repeat this process about 6 or 7 times. And you're gonna know you hit your real why when you kind of get the goosebumps when you read it, right? You go, oh my gosh, this is what I do, and this is who I am,
Right.
beyond those roles. And this is just one technique of many, many roles many exercises that help you refine. Not, some people don't get there with this one exercise, and they're just kind of just starting to scrape the surface because they've been burying it for so long.
Yeah, how many times have you been asked?
Right. How many times have you been asked?
Yeah.
Well, you've been asked, oh, my kids, I live for my kids.
Yeah.
They're my why. They're why I do everything. Oh my gosh. I love that answer. And of course we do.
Yes.
But your why has to be about you and for you. And when you kind of get to that point, then that's where you're at. Back to talking about changing the world, changing our life, changing other people's lives. Again, it's the little things that you do on a daily basis. The Dalai Lama said back in 2010, he was famously quoted as saying, "The world will be saved by the Western woman."
Love that quote.
And I love that. And it's interesting because he's not of Western origin. And some people might have gotten a little offended, how everybody's so easily offended. But why women? Why Western women? Well, let's just
we're amazing.
Let's just take it apart a little bit, right? Women, of course, we have the empathy, the life experience. We naturally look for outside of the box answers.
Right.
We naturally look for win-win situations. It's not a competition. We're so collaborative. So there's one thing. The Western woman has the resources, maybe that many of the other women in the world don't, but excluding the ones that we just read about,
right,
who are living all over the world in much more impoverished nations. But we have the education, the means,
right,
and the midlife point of attraction, where now we can use all that we've learned and all the wisdom we've gained.
Yeah.
And we're not afraid to ask for help.
Well, and there's plenty of it out there too.
So yes, the Western woman could save the world. And I would take it a step further. So the midlife and beyond, Western woman can save the world. And I so believe that. And again, maybe you're going to be inspired to do something big, that's going to make the news. And,
right.
and of course, some of you will.
Absolutely. Who knows what's going to come out of this?
Right. Absolutely. But better than that are just those baby steps. Mm-hmm. What are some things? Being kind, right. Intentionally deciding to put on that smiling face and sharing it with someone who will in turn share theirs with someone else.
Right.
What are some other little things that come to mind that you could think of that would be some little thing every day that someone could put into their routine that could make a big difference?
One of the things that I love that you said was just starting inside with yourself. I think everything starts with yourself, and then looking for ways to be of service and looking for places to spread some gratitude, and just making it simple to start out with. One of the things that we used to do with my daycare kids that we used to do, we did random acts of kindness days.
Yeah.
And we would go buy a bouquet of flowers, and the kids and I would go to the library, and the kids would give someone a flower. And it was the simplest little thing that we could have done. And it literally made some people cry when they received a flower from one of the little kids. So it was so much fun, you guys, to do that. So maybe something as simple, Brenda, as a random act of kindness, like a love note on someone's window, or something that says you look beautiful and put it on their windshield, or just something simple. And it doesn't have to even cost you any money. It could be free if you want to start somewhere basic like that.
Right. What about sending a 1-paragraph email to someone every day telling them how much you admire them, what you see that they do that is inspiring to you or makes a difference to you? Oh my gosh, can you imagine receiving an email like that?
Right.
You're going through your humdrum day, another email, bleep. Oh, it's Tristan. And to just be appreciated and share appreciation. And guess what? That's probably going to come back at you.
I think it will. That makes me think of just replying on Facebook. We have the automatic like button, and the automatic buttons now, I notice it'll even pick little mini, 2 or 3 word replies for you. Take that 5 minutes to actually type something deeper and meaningful back to the person on Facebook.
Right.
Just even that really literally does make a difference in the world.
It does make a difference.
Make someone feel seen.
It's the butterfly effect, right?
Yes.
It's the butterfly effect. You don't know how your kind words and your kindness and your attention, picking something up for someone, or visiting with someone who's lonely, someone who seems down, showing that you care and want to hear from them. These things matter.
They totally matter.
They really matter.
They make a big difference in the world.
Yeah. And I am working on my next project that I hope to change the world with. And it's my new book. It's called And She Lived, Ignite Your Life's Purpose and Save the World.
Love it.
It's not ready yet, but it's going to be all about what we're talking about today is basically what's happening for midlife women today, all the minutia that we are dealing with and all the transitions and how we're not our mother's midlife. Right. And then from that point, working on figuring ourselves out again, putting ourselves on top of at least some lists, some self-care, some introspection, and figuring out a game plan for really truly knowing who we want to become. Who do we want to be when we grow up? Because we're still there, right?
It changes all the time.
We're still in this. We've got so much more to give. And then taking it to that next level and stepping up into positions of influence and positions where you can make a difference, or doing things on a regular basis that can really change the world. So together, I think we can do it. And that's my mission, is to help women make them prove their legacy.
I love it.
Bring it and leave it.
Right.
So with that.
What a great world.
Yeah, it's a great world we live in. We're so blessed, and what an exciting time to be a midlife woman.
I love it.
So with you guys and us,
yes,
when three or more gather, we are tribe.